victims of war and violence in the Middle East, Eastern Europe, Africa, India, and Pakistan, and throughout the world. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. We condemn violence and hatred of all kinds, including racism, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia. And we support one another in times of difficulty and are committed to a community that's respectful of and safe for everyone. To begin today's meeting, I've asked Assistant Professor of Sociology and Professional Association Chair Michael Furlies to share some good news and a new point of pride for HCCC. Michael.
Recent NJEA Jim George Collective Bargaining Summit, we were honored as the recipients of that award for best contract throughout New Jersey, and we were really happy with that. There were 24 nominees throughout New Jersey. There were, I think, 8 or so finalists. And Steve Beatty, the president of the NJEA, who's a very strong labor voice, said some really wonderful things about us and our campus and the things that we've accomplished there. So we're very happy with it. I think it's another example of what we accomplish in our collaborative efforts together. Chris and I were just talking about how, we hear today from advocates of the kind of privatization movements, and that I would consider that a cult movement about how detrimental it is to have strong unions. And I think we agree it's just the opposite. Strong, responsible unions work with the administration, also in terms of their own willingness to collaborate and responsiveness, and we make better programs, we make better agreements, we resolve problems, we solve issues that have been long festering, and I think it, to the credit of both of us, that we feel the same way and are willing to sort of, go through those differences and figure out things that work for everybody. So I think it's a kind of a good mark and standing for us as a college, not just for the union. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And this is the award that best contract K-12 and 2-year and 4-year, right?
And we were the only.
Fantastic. Well, we all celebrate the outcomes of our recent collective bargaining process and previous processes that have included, as Michael's touched upon, collaborative and respectful initiatives to promote the success of our students and the professional development of our faculty and staff. So, great point of pride to add to our list. On Monday, we were delighted to welcome back to campus President Emeritus Glenn Gabert and his husband Gregory Radcliffe. Some of you were there and saw them. Glenn and Gregory are donating to the college some additional art in their extensive collection. And while here, they visited with members of the HCCC family during a lunch in the Gabert Library atrium, and they toured the Center for Student Success, and they visited the 50th anniversary exhibit at the Jersey City Museum of History. And I think they had a really wonderful day. It was the first time they had seen the Student Center, and Glenn was really taken aback by it, and in a positive way. I do want to take this opportunity to thank Executive Assistant to the President and Board of Trustees and Chief of Staff, Alexa Riano, for coordinating their visit. Thank you, Alexa. We continue monitoring ongoing developments in Washington, and as I've mentioned in town hall meetings this year, colleagues across the college are participating on the HCCC Federal Compliance Working Group, which is meeting weekly. The working group is discussing the implications of directives affecting grants, ongoing steps to ensure legal compliance with mandates, and our continued and enhanced support for all HCCC students. If I can just mention, coming over here, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but I just saw a news piece. It's rare when I see something that I really am happy about these days in the news, but the Supreme Court just elected not to hear a challenge to gay marriage, which means puts that to rest, which I think we all agree is a good thing. Dr. Uris Pujols and Dr. Lisa Doherty are co-leading the working group I mentioned, and Uris is going to share an update with us today. Thank you, Uris.
Well, thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here with all of you. As Chris mentioned, the task force has been meeting every Monday. We've been doing that since July. As you know, this year has been pretty challenging, to say the least. We're getting different guidance, different executive orders, and we are assessing the implications that it has on our college, on our services, and on our ability to support the students that we serve. So we have looked at our grants, the impact that it has. There was one Title V grant that it was a multi-million grant that we ended up losing the last year of it. We were able to adjust some of the money that was not used to kind of cover the plan for the rest of the grant. We have also conducted multiple inventories of not only our staffing, but also our service areas, the spaces where we are able to support students. I'm providing the update today because we don't really have that much. There was a historic government shutdown that just ended recently, and due to that, it's been a little bit quiet in the federal government. But as of right now, keeping in mind that the gubernatorial elections are behind us, chances are that things might pick up again, but our task, our goal is to continue to evaluate the information that comes in and to see how that would impact our ability to continue serving our students and for us to take action to ensure that we're up to par with, not just with a compliance component, but supporting everyone that comes to the college. When it comes to the services and our commitment to supporting students, I'm happy to share that immigration lawyer Cheryl Lynn, she's the lawyer that has been here at the college a few times. Is going to be back here on campus on December 4th at noon in this room. Not in this room, I apologize, in the STEM multipurpose room. And she's going to be conducting another Know Your Rights immigration session for students, faculty, and staff. All of you are welcome to attend. The program will be in person and as well as virtual. And we will be recording it. In case you're not able to attend, we're going to archive it on the website so you have access to that. This program is a partnership. Our office is partnering with the Student Government Association and the ESL Club, because students also feel that this is really important to have out there, and we're providing that. Willie, do you mind sharing the website really quickly? I know that the last two times that I've been here, I share some of the resources that we've put together for students, specifically as they relate to immigration matters. But there's one area that I wanted to make sure that we knew about. When it comes to immigration consultations, our partner organization, Save Latin America, they do legal consultations. They essentially do that for everyone, and they charge $20 per consultation. But every Hudson County Community College student, as long as they're able to provide or produce a college ID, they're going to waive the fee. So we provided that information here, like the contact information, their address. A lot of this information takes place on site, but it's available there. So again, it's been fairly quiet. We continue to meet to keeping our ear to the ground, see what comes next. But we'll keep you updated as anything else changes. But thank you.
Are there any questions before we go on? Michael Felice has encouraged us to leave more opportunity for questions, which I think is appropriate. Seriously. We had a rather robust discussion about supports for students and these issues in yesterday's meeting of the Institutional Engagement and Excellence Advisory Council. One of the things that I want to remind all of us about is we want to support students. So, if students have any concerns, if they feel vulnerable, if they need support, we hope they will come forward. Frankly, one of the things we're seeing is students are reluctant to come forward out of concern about, even identifying themselves as feeling vulnerable. But URIS has put together, as you've seen, a lot of resources, including pro bono legal resources. So if you can be a facilitator in making the appropriate folks aware of any concerns or linking students to resources through us, please let us know. And, at this time of year, generally, and then also as a result of some of the recent challenges to things like SNAP, we're even more mindful of wanting to provide basic supports to students. We are trying to embellish the food pantry stock, and really pleased to have learned just this past week that we're receiving a $52,000 grant from the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education for the food pantries. And I also want to thank Ara and the faculty. They keep with the students making wonderful meals for those food pantries. So on these subjects, like all, please let us know if anything arises that we can respond to in a helpful way. Yours, thank you as always for your leadership. Lisa, thank you as well. As I mentioned in the last several town hall meetings, we've agreed to participate in the next cohort of schools that will be involved this year in the Citizens and Scholars Campus-Wide Immersion Project, which is promoting civic engagement and preparedness among our students and our college community. Instructor of Social Sciences, Dr. Cade Thurman, and Executive Director of the Early College Programs, Dr. Chris Conzen, accepted my invitation to co-lead what's called our Collegiate Immersion Action Council that will plan our approach and desired outcomes for engaging students in the college community in multiple opportunities to learn and practice civic skills. And I've invited Chris and Cade to report on this exciting work. Chris and Cade, thank you.
We didn't practice yet. We just have done the slides. So thanks, Dr. Thurman, for grabbing these slides. So there we go. This is cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Up. There we go. All right. Thanks. Okay, so we're really excited to be a part of this because we are in some really fine company, first of all. As you can see, these are the institutions that participated in previous cohorts. We are going to be cohort 3. What's also exciting is that we are only the second two-year college, community college, to participate. Delta College, I believe, is the other one. So these are who we're going to be in a cohort with. Nothing to sneeze at over there. So we had our first cohort-wide meeting a couple weeks ago to really get a grasp on what we've agreed to and what we're going to be participating in. So we're going to just kind of tag team this, go back and forth. So, Cade, you want to take it over next?
So like Dr. Reber said, we're doing this campus-wide immersion program for sort of civil discourse, but it's kind of broadly defined. You see here more related to civic fluency in general. So the Institute for Citizens and Scholars defines this in a very specific way. So you see the sort of pillars that they've identified, one of which is civil discourse. The other two are navigating information and collaborative problem solving. And they sort of have plans around how we, can think about these 3 pillars. And then ultimately the goal is to create initiatives to address these pillars directly with students. So, and that includes, implementation, assessment, and sort of like this broad strategy. So these are the pillars we're looking at. Where's the next? Oh, here we go. All right. So, like I mentioned, all right, so this is the CWI vision statement, right? So this is basically saying what I just said. So the campuses are where, the Institute has identified, the opportunity for us to kind of help students hone some of these skills. So students can cultivate their interests, skills, and confidence to develop civic fluency in those 3 pillars. So the 3 pillars again are here related to engaging across difference, which is like the civil discourse piece, discerning information, which, obviously has implications for library, other kind of, skills that we talk about, certainly in the social sciences, for how to differentiate, information that is kind of valid, comes from reliable sources, that kind of thing. Collaborative solutions, that we can kind of discuss on campus with students and beyond, in our communities and the workplace more broadly. So when we're talking about the CWI, we are talking about students, but we're also talking about sort of like the overall campus culture. So some of that starts with faculty and staff, and some of it is directly, obviously, related to students specifically.
So the timeline, and it's funny. Dr. Reber has, as Dr. Reber mentioned, he has mentioned multiple times that we were engaging in this, and he's asked us each time, "Do you want to present?" And we're like, "We're not ready yet. We haven't even started." And I say that to say that one of the great things about this project is it's meant to be a drawn out, intentional program. So one of the first things that we will do is really take stock of what we're already doing, because there are things that are already going on that are run out of different areas. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge that, because we're not about reinventing the wheel. We're not about doing things for just to do them. We want to look at what's already going on campus that is encouraging, this civil conversation. And so what we will do is next semester, and we've already started working with institutional effectiveness. Katie Ann is going to be partnering with us. She's the first official member of our action group. And we will be doing an assessment, a college-wide assessment, to look at what we're currently offering, as well as a climate assessment of the students. And so we want to see how they already feel about the climate as it relates to civic dialogue and civic engagement. And then once we take that, we will look at, how our students currently feel and what they've identified, and that's what we'll build upon. So then our Action Council will work on devising, strategies, an action plan, in essence, to see where we can improve upon, where we can expand, so that, again, we're allowing our entire campus community to feel safe and to feel comfortable engaging in civic dialogue. So this is something, like we said, that's going to be ongoing. And we look forward to, really digging in our heels and getting to the work.
So like Chris said, a major component of the program is assessment. So that will start with a campus-wide undergraduate survey. So like Chris said, we already are doing things, and we kind of want to document that before we get started with any interventions or anything else that we want to do on campus. So the campus-wide undergraduate survey is a really good opportunity to kind of see where we are. And then that will be implemented several times throughout this whole process to see, basically measure change over time. They also will have what they call intervention landscape data, which is just basically them asking us for like what our interventions are. So we're going to have sort of like this general undergraduate survey, and then we're also going to assess our specific interventions as interventions to see how effective those are. And that also includes the intervention specific evaluations. And there really is like a feedback loop. So this is the idea that it is a long-term strategy here. So we're going to do, the surveys, implementation, reevaluating to see if that's creating change over time, and then potentially reassess our interventions and do other things as we go along, right? So this is sort of like several years in the making here. And we're going to sort of move forward doing assessment to kind of improve upon whatever we're doing.
And Kate really touched upon this, but this gives you a deeper dive into what the undergraduate surveys are going to look like. So just so you can see, we're not going to go over that again. So this is the action plan. We are currently in between those first two steps. We completed the first step. So next is going to be putting the Avengers together. We're going to build our action council, and we'll be putting that call out, and we are really looking for a broad representation across campus. Students will definitely be involved. They're a key part of this. We'll be looking, obviously, we'll be tapping Veronica in her area, but also, looking towards our PTK and some other groups as well. And then, of course, we hope that faculty will play a really big role across disciplines, and then we'll handpick a few others. But we're also going to invite people who feel called to this work to join us as well. So it'll be a two-pronged approach. We will recruit, and we'll also be doing the open call and saying, please join us. So then at the beginning of next year, we will set our goals for what this is going to look like for our institution, build our own intervention pillars. So using what CWI has provided us, what does that look like for Hudson County Community College? And then towards the end of the semester going into the summer, we will actually review our action plan. We will be sharing that back with our cohort leads and looking to see if it makes sense, and then going from there.
So Chris touched on this already, that we're looking for diverse representation, including students. And also I mentioned sort of like the information literacy piece. So this has implications for librarians. We have institutional research, as we mentioned, student affairs, academic affairs, et cetera, right? So really we want, the diversity of everyone among us will be like the strength of our interventions. So truly anyone who's interested, who represents these and others that aren't listed here, this is just like, these are the ones that they suggested. And our goal is to have basically monthly meetings in the spring to carry out the action plan or get the action plan together and then ultimately implement in the spring of 2026.
All right, so if you're interested, I'm sorry that you can't be the first volunteer because you'll never guess who beat you to that, Rafi. Rafi's already stepped up and said that he's going to join us, so thank you, Rafi. But, we're also looking for other people who feel called to this kind of work and want to get involved as well. So thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, sure. This
Here you go. It's the one with ours on it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, Kate and Chris, very much. Are there any questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. I just want a clarification. First, what is the overall mission? Because you're doing these periodic assessments, so how do you see yourself implementing? What are your action plans? Is it going to be like a hands-on activity, integration in the classroom for these students? Just to help me visualize, like, what are you going to be doing and then assessing to look at the change?
It's a great question. So the assessment is going to see where we're succeeding and is hopefully going to help us identify areas where students may feel that there's not areas where they can engage in this kind of discussion and dialogue. And so with the action, with the group, what we hope to do is address those areas and build upon the areas that are working. But I think ultimately the goal is to create a string through it all that kind of connects. Because right now, the way that we see it, or I'll speak for myself, but I think it's shared. We have some great initiatives going on campus, but there's not something that's tying them together. So I think it's about creating a mission that is kind of guiding all of our approaches towards creating a safe environment for civic engagement and civil dialogue. Could be one thing, I think the ultimate goal is really to create the umbrella, is to create the overall, what does it look like to have a campus that has these three pillars? And then we will look at what are the specific interventions or programs or activities that can tie those together to help bring that about. Any others? Oh,
D. Jones has a comment.
Who's that?
Daryl. Good afternoon, everyone. How are we?
All right, how are
Can hear
you?
me? Good. My apologies for not being in person. Great presentation, Drs. Conzen and Cade. And one question before I have to drop off and attend a professional development experience. Cade, can you talk about how this initiative being led by you and Chris compares, contrasts, supplements, or complements what we're engaging in and for College Service Day in 2026 with Institute for Citizens and Scholars? Because that's a very important full day experience that we have, and also during the symposium. I think there's great symmetry between this major event and what we're planning for 2026.
Yeah, I agree. So Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So I just met with our team who will be presenting at College Service Day, like Dr. Jones said, and they were here at the last College Service Day. I don't know if people remember the Institute for Citizens and Scholars. One of the people who was here last College Service Day will be here in January for the next one. And this is definitely related. That started before this, right? I think we didn't know that we were doing these at the same time. So I think what we will see if you're, participating in the College Service Day and or the symposium, because they will also be here in February for the symposium, you will basically see examples of some of the types of interventions, especially that faculty can use in classrooms, but also that we as colleagues can use to sort of facilitate a culture of civil discourse, civic fluency, that ultimately is kind of another broad goal of the CWI initiative, which is kind of like, yes, interventions in the classroom, but also sort of more broadly interventions in our culture. So what they will do at College Service Day is sort of like have us participate in some of the types of activities that we could consider for our classrooms and beyond. So that the College Service Day will be like a 90-minute sort of short like appetizer of information and some opportunity to practice. And then February will be a day long for the symposium. I can't remember which Friday. One of the Fridays in February, we'll say more at College Service Day, where again, faculty and students will come together to basically learn some skills around civil discourse to kind of like kick off the CWI and kind of help us understand like basically what some of these goals are in and outside of the classroom. So it's definitely related, and it's kind of like it's like good timing, right? That we're having them come to campus and we're starting this assessment at the same time. So
Great. Thank you.
And what I just want to add is that one of the great things about this project is that it's not looking to replace or supplant all of the great work that's already going on. So what we want to do is assess, for example, what are components that exist in one program that can be scaled or shared, that are really effective, and we can then look to suggest that they be implemented in other activities that are already going on. Or what are some areas that seem to be really working that can be expanded to other areas as well. So one of the reasons I think that we qualified for this is because we're already doing those kinds of activities. We've already have evidence that we are doing this work, and we don't have to start from zero.
Thanks. I guess whenever you ask a question, you betray your ignorance. So at that risk, so you both seem very well informed on this. I'm not. So my questions are just for clarification. So it seems to me that your discussion today is about organizational building. I can appreciate that from a union standpoint. But I think, and it may be my preference as a teacher, I think I would like to hear, maybe you've already talked about it, right? But I think I would like to hear more about, like, what do we mean by civil society? Like, what are the definitions? I think for many of our students, things, a lot of things we talk about, if we talk about civil society or we talk about class relationships, it's within our collective imagination. It's not just there. And in the classroom, we discover that our students don't have those same imaginations. They don't see it. And I just wonder if maybe sequentially we should be talking about, like, first things first. Do we bring in speakers to define what is the history of civil society? I mean, there is a very interesting history here from what I remember, which was that in many ways, our own society forgot about the importance of civil society. And it was brought to us from emigres from Russia who were very concerned about the totalitarianism of communist societies, that they obliterate any kind of civil, free, voluntarily generated discourse and associations. So I think there's a very, very rich history to that and understanding. It's not simple. And I just wonder if we might benefit from thinking maybe sequentially where we first start off with having speakers, maybe study groups. I think that would be a great idea, or things in which we engage our students and ourselves and our own members on what this history is. What is it that we're talking about? What is it that's at stake? Rather than just saying, you know, we're going to have an intervention, we're going to kind of move in here, we're going to get this going. What are we getting going? What is the intervention about? Why? So anyway, again, I don't know if I've been talking about things you've already talked about.
No, I think that's a good point. So one of the things that we talked about when we met with institutional research is sort of where to start. So they have kind of, measures that they want to assess, some of which are kind of, like you're suggesting, sort of they assume prior knowledge at some level. But we do have the opportunity in our campus-wide survey, like when we first implement it, to put other things on the survey, which could include what you're talking about, which is assessing like just knowledge around definitions of these terms, that kind of thing. So we're working with institutional research to kind of figure out what else we can add on to the things that they're requiring us to assess. And that could be at sort of like where we are in terms of like base knowledge, so that we could do some of the things like bring in speakers and then see if, a year later that base knowledge has expanded. Right. So I think you're right. Like starting there, even with the assessment piece, could be a way to capture what you're talking about. Like, where are we starting to then see, like, okay, if we bring in speakers, have we advanced that at all on our campus with students and beyond? Because it's not just students, right, who might like be starting at that point. It's like all of us, right, could have more information about like the history of it and that kind of thing. So I think that would be a good opportunity. And also some of the things you're talking about, bringing in speakers, could very much be part of our action plan, right? Once we have the information about kind of like where we are right now. Does that?
So the assessment here that you're talking about is about the council assessing itself and its own programs and how effective they are. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying? I'll stand over there.
What it is, the assessment piece is really assessing where our culture and knowledge kind of currently are in like spring 2026. Then our action council will design interventions, bring in speakers, and then we'll reassess probably a year later with the same measures. Is that?
Yeah, kind of. I'm not sure if I'm too clear. I'm willing to drop that, but I'm not. It may be for me to kind of get up to speed on what you're speaking about, but that is not too clear to me, but okay.
Okay. We'll talk more, Michael.
So thank you all very much. And obviously, if you have questions, concerns, suggestions, or want to get involved, please contact these two leaders. Thank you. I am looking for those. Can we get that screen back up? While we had this screen of logos, if we can get that back up, I just wanted to ask a quick question, and it's totally unplanned on my part. Back to, okay. So I think many of you share the concern that whenever our logo appears anywhere, and particularly when it appears in juxtaposition with other logos, it looks anemic. It doesn't stand out. And someone recently made a suggestion to me. I just wanted to plant this idea, and I know Nicole's here. I don't know if Jen and her team are here. What if we use the teal color to form a box, and these letters become white? So it's white on teal instead of teal on white in a box. Yes, Michael. Oh, it's great to see it. I'm just talking about how it stands out or doesn't. Yeah. No, it's Cornell. I mean, they have a lot to learn from us, no doubt about it. And Michael, thank you for coming out of your shell. We needed that. No. Oh, I'm sorry? Question? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Okay.
So it's kind of fate that I was here today because I'm actually one of the two graphic designers at the college, and I use the logo all the time and have the same exact complaint, especially because I do the digital design, and on the internet, our logo shows up small, it shows up in low resolution, and it's very hard to use it properly. It's also very, there has a space that makes it hard to design with because it's like an empty space, and so things look out of balance. So yeah, actually, I think when you started, you requested, Jen, if there was like a thicker version of the logo. And so I have created one with a different font for web use because that's like an old font. It's out of style. It's like we don't have the rights to that like the technology has changed. So the one that I use is like, I only use it on the web because it's not like an official change. And so for example, like it needs to be stronger. But for example, the box thing, like as a design concept, isn't very useful. Not that because I'm like criticizing or anything, but because like, you know, not everyone is aware of like graphic design principles.
Right.
So I just want to note that like, I completely agree that our logo needs to be updated and sort of want to put it out there that like we're aware of that. And also, if anything like can be changed to improve it, that would be actually amazing.
I appreciate that very much. And so it was good to have this opportunity just to throw this out. I think the important thing is we need to get a logo that stands out and is bold. The college is bold. The things we're doing are bold. And that logo doesn't serve us well. I think I'm speaking for most people. So I look forward to your ideas in terms of how we can punch it up. Okay, I'm delighted to share that Hudson County Community College has again been chosen as a finalist for the prestigious Bellwether Award. Housed at the Alamo Community College's district in San Antonio, Texas, the Bellwether Awards are sponsored by the Bellwether College Consortium that is, and I'm quoting, comprised of award-winning colleges charged with addressing critical issues facing community colleges through applicable research and the promotion and replication of best practices addressing workforce development, instructional programs and services, and planning, governance, and finance. This nationally recognized Bellwether Award process focuses on cutting-edge, trend-setting programs worthy of replication. Those are the Bellwether words. And award finalists are chosen annually from a large group of applicants in the United States and territories. And some of you will recall that HCCC won the 2023 Bellwether Award in the Bellwether Instructional Programs and Services category and the 2024 Bellwether Legacy Award, both for the Hudson Scholars Program. And the Bellwether Legacy Award, this is probably maybe the most prestigious award process in the community college sector. The Legacy Award is presented to a single award-winning institution or finalist over the past 5 years, and is awarded only once every 5 years to a single institution. And I think we should feel incredibly proud that we are the current Bellwether Award Legacy institution. What I want to share with you is this year our innovative summer enrollment incentive program is one of the 10 programs across the nation that will compete for the 2026 Bellwether Award in the Bellwether Planning, Governance, and Finance category. And an HCCC team will offer a presentation at the Community College Futures Assembly in San Antonio next February. Our presentation is entitled Free Summer Classes, Driving Momentum While Reducing Cost. This presentation will be led by our colleague, Associate Vice President for Institutional Research and Planning, John Argola, who, as many of you know, developed our summer enrollment incentive project that resulted in the largest summer enrollment in the college's history last summer. So we thank John, who I know is under the weather and probably not here, but we thank him for his strong leadership that's led to this significant HCCC point of pride. Yeah. So indeed, our student success journey continues with so many important initiatives and points of pride. I'd now like to invite Dr. Heather DeVries to offer an update on our student success work and our continuing engagement with Achieving the Dream. And Heather will then be joined by Dr. Nadia Headley to discuss planning and progress in our Middle States Commission on Higher Education reaffirmation of accreditation process that began with the start of the fall semester and will continue going through the summer of 2028. And we want to take this opportunity to thank Heather and Nadia for agreeing to co-lead this entire multiple-year reaccreditation process, which is a phenomenal leadership commitment. And I hope, Heather and Nadia, your ears were perking when you were hearing the word assessment over and over in the presentation we just heard. So I now turn this over to Heather, and then Heather and Nadia.
Thank you so much. Yes, assessment, one of my favorite words. So we'll start with Achieving the Dream update. President Reaper shared Mary and Renee's follow-up letter from their October 2025 visit about a week ago. Again, we are doing so much work and have so much information to share. It really can't be contained anymore in the day and a half that they're with us or in these 2.5 hour meetings. So we needed to wait for a follow-up meeting to occur. But then their letter did come through and really reflected just a very positive and a very productive set of meetings. Thank you to the leadership teams in the ESL program, in our nursing program, and for Hudson Scholars as well, in addition to Dr. Chris Conson and Dr. Ara Karkashian, who continue to meet with Mary and Renee to discuss developments around a potential early college culinary arts academy. But thank you, everyone. I know a lot goes into planning these meetings. There are a lot of pre-meeting meetings and follow-up meetings, and these meetings happen in quick succession. Once the train leaves the station in October, when Mary and Renee visit for the first time, we move very quickly thereafter. And I know hard work is underway across all of those groups to prepare for Mary and Renee's next meeting. They will be here on December 4th and 5th, and we'll be meeting with those same areas of priority. If you haven't had a chance yet to read the letter, please do so. It is very, very positive and very, very uplifting. And I continue to thank those colleagues for their hard work. And thank you to everyone behind the scenes who helps make their visits a success, including Student Life and Leadership, our FLIC team, ITS, and of course, security. Thank you. It truly takes a village. Otherwise, the DREAM team was very busy throughout September and October in meeting Achieving the Dream deadlines for the DREAM 2026 conference. The DREAM 2026 conference is scheduled to be in Portland, Oregon from March 2nd through 5th. And we have submitted, institutionally, we submitted proposals for an hour concurrent session and a 30-minute concurrent session. John Ergola and Matt Fessler submitted a proposal for a 60-minute session on the summer tuition initiative, free summer tuition initiative. And then Doreen Pontius, David Clark, and Ariana Kaye put together a 30-minute proposal around how we're engaging MSW interns to help meet our mental health counseling and wellness needs. And then in addition, Dr. Chris Conson was invited to submit as part of a community college research center proposal as well. So we have three proposals out there. We're looking forward to hearing back soon. We also submitted our application for the Leah Meyer Austin Award, Achieving the Dream's most prestigious award. We earned Leader College of Distinction, Leader College status, Leader College of Distinction status, and now we submitted for the Leah Meyer Austin Award. And this year's award structure was a little bit different than prior years, but we had so much content to pull on, and I thank John Ergola for his partnership on completing that application. And then finally, we submitted 2 nominations for Dream Scholars, Achieving the Dream's flagship kind of student recognition program. There are 8 students selected nationally for each DREAM conference, and they speak usually at the beginning of each plenary session, and they all come together on a panel at the end. In the past, Achieving the Dream did not have a limit on how many students we could submit, and we provided an open call and often had somewhere between 15 and 20 students. This year, Achieving the Dream said maximum of 2. So thank you to Gretchen, and some other colleagues for working on putting together a review process to internally determine who among our many eligible and deserving applicants we would move forward. We received 20 applications and did identify 2 students to submit and move forward in their stories. So hopefully we'll be hearing about them soon. The next stage is semifinalists who do an interview with Achieving the Dream, and then finalists are selected from there. So we're hoping for a lot of good news in the near future. And at this point, I will turn it over. I will invite Dr. Nadia Headley to join me, and we'll move into middle states mode.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Reber, for giving us this platform to provide an update on what we have accomplished for the self-study since we last met here in September. I'm happy to report that we have achieved significant milestones since we last reported back in September that we'll be sharing with you today. The first item I'm talking about is the co-chair and working groups for each of the 7 standards have been identified. Each of the 7 middle state standards have 2 co-chairs, 1 faculty and 1 administrative, which with the exception of standard 6, where we have 2 faculty on that one. Each of these middle state standards has anywhere from 10 to 13 working group members from across the community college. And this is speaks out volumes in terms of our volunteer initiatives, as well as the willingness of our community to participate in the self-study. So we have roughly under 100 different working members. That includes the AR team as well. So I wanted to shout out to everybody that's volunteering on the self-study. Thank you very much for your time and your commitment for the self-study. Item number 2. So we did meet twice in person with everybody in the room. That's the 100, roughly 100 working members. We had a first meeting on October 10th. So each of the groups during that day had to analyze the line of inquiries, which are research questions for the self-study. We went over the middle state's criteria. We started discussing which evidence to collect to show compliance with that specific standard. We had as well a presentation from AR. We wanted to make sure that our working groups know how to request data efficiently to avoid delays. We wanted to look at areas of overlap, so not everybody is requesting the same data, and how to address that. Our second meeting was held recently on November 14th, and this meeting we did things a little different. We wanted our working groups to be aware that these 7 standards do have areas of overlap. So we had the co-chairs moving from one standard to the next, and they had to discuss their findings with the other group. We got some great positive feedback from here. They did address some gaps, confusion, challenges, and we hope to do more of this in the future as well. Item number 3. Which I will request that you please save the date. So we have confirmed our spring 2026 site visit with our VP liaison, which is Susan Harkness. Our date is February 17th. I believe that is a Tuesday. Please make sure to be there. There'll be an open forum where the VP liaison will be sharing information, addressing questions, helping the college community address this new culture of self-study, evaluation. In terms of location and time, we're still not sure about that, but we'll definitely be sharing with you as soon as that becomes a little clear. So far, the agenda looks as follow. It might shift depending on availability. So in the morning, on the day of the VP liaison visit, Heather and myself will be meeting with her, followed by a 30-minute visit with the president. She would like to meet with all the steering committee, the co-chairs of the steering committee for 90 minutes, followed by meeting with everybody. So that's working groups, steering committee, AR members for 30 minutes. There will be a board member meeting for 30 minutes as well. And finally, we'll have the open forum where staff, faculty, and students will be welcome to come. A lot of information will be shared during that session, so please try your best to be there. And eventually, the exit 30 minutes with Heather and myself before she leaves. I'm turning the presentation over to Heather.
Thank you so much. So our other major milestone is that we have completed the self-study design, which again is our roadmap for how we're going to conduct our work over the next 2.5 years or so, and move through our self-study process, as it is an evolving process. There will be kind of ebbs and flows in the nature, the scope and nature and intensity of the work. But the first step is the self-study design, which again is our roadmap and helps keep us on track, but also serves as an informational document for any prospective visiting team chair, as Middle States, as Dr. Harkness works to identify a visiting team chair and following subsequently visiting team members. So it serves a dual purpose in that way. It was reviewed by President Reber. It was reviewed by members of the steering committee and all the working groups. Thank you to everyone who provided feedback. And it will appear before the Board of Trustees at their November meeting hopefully for adoption and approval. And then Nadia and I will shift into communication mode and making sure that everyone is aware of what's in our self-study design in order to make for a really effective self-study preparation visit on February 17th with Dr. Harkness. So we will be setting up webinars for spring, 2 or 3 webinars. on virtual for everyone to attend and listen about the self-study design, and again, really make for an optimal self-study preparation visit. So ongoing activities, Nadia and I are working with Christopher Fontanez and his team to develop a website. Again, really an important part of our communication plan and keeping both our internal constituencies and external constituencies up to date. We will submit our final self-study design to Middle States, to Dr. Harkness, probably early December, pending the board's approval. And we are far ahead of schedule on this, and really that's a testament to our college community, to our shared values and our shared vision, and really the magnitude with which we live our mission. I think Nadia and I both felt after the Self-Study Institute and moving into the work itself and working on the self-study design document that we were very clear. We had a lot of answers to some of these questions around institutional priorities, areas of focus, intended outcomes. And that's really a strength of our college as a whole. We'll offer those self-study design webinars to help communicate about the self-study design and build kind of shared understanding around the process itself. And then importantly, we are going to work with student life and leadership to make sure we have a regular cadence of meetings with students, perhaps through SGA, through student clubs. We take their recommendations here to make sure our students are informed about this process. You know, our mission is really about serving our students, and they're a really important stakeholder group to make sure that they are informed and involved throughout this process. So we look forward to getting on their calendar as well. And then looking ahead for spring 2026, which is around the corner, hard to believe, Nadia and I will continue to meet just about weekly. And then continue our cadence of meeting once with the steering committee, which is the standard co-chairs, plus the IR team, once virtually at the beginning of the semester, just to establish priorities and goals, and then meet with everyone, the steering committee and the working groups in person twice, again, and really leverage that time we have together. We'll be working on a cadence of updates, especially as we start to move towards documenting the work and move towards writing, which will occupy a good chunk of next year. And then finally, please, please, please keep in mind, save the date, and be mindful when scheduling other events, the scheduled self-study preparation visit on February 17th. And if you have any questions, we do have our Middle State specific email address up and running, so please feel free to reach out to us there. We're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Michael has a question.
Michael has a question.
Rafi and I are becoming twins, maybe. So you may, some of this may have been addressed there, but I just want to ask it for my own sake. So in terms, will there be open forums where co-chairs will be reporting out? Will that happen like at the old college council, or will be those kinds of forums?
I think we'll think about that as we move forward into next year with the writing, as really writing gets underway. But we will absolutely share progress as they move forward in the work, progress updates.
Okay, and so, yeah, so my question you just hit on is about how do editorial adjustments work and community input on that. And the other is, I mean, if any members of the community want to address a committee, will that be a possibility? Will there be a method for doing that?
What do you mean address a committee?
Well, let's say, for me, I really don't mean it's just about myself, but let's say I want to talk about governance or relationship of the union and governance. Can I, just request a meeting with the governance committee? Or is there any process in which any member, not just me, but any member of the community can do something like that?
Absolutely. I think to reach out to the co-chairs, and I think the co-chairs will be reaching out to many of you. The working groups are set and very robust and really have engagement from across the college community, which is wonderful. But they will also need to bring in what I'm calling expert witnesses to talk about, to be with them for one meeting or more, but a sustained period of time with a very sustained focus to share expertise on a specific topic. So that'll be kind of a two-way exchange. Everyone is welcome to reach out to them, but also they will likely be reaching out to many members of the college community who are not a formal part of the working group.
Okay, thank you.
Join me in thanking Nadia and Heather again. It's really a tremendous amount of work, so important. At our last town hall meeting, we discussed efforts to identify one or two pioneering programs that can be offered in their entirety on a 7-week basis in order to assess the opportunities and outcomes of full program offerings in a 7-week format. And we had a lengthy discussion at our town hall several weeks ago following the professional development program offered on campus by Achieving the Dream. And as I mentioned then, I'm going to just repeat a couple of basic concepts. There's clear and compelling evidence that short-term programs, and this is the key, that can be completed in their entirety in a short-term framework, are very strongly correlated with student persistence and completion. And why is this? It's because students can focus on just one or two courses at a time. They're doing just one or two courses at a time and then complete those courses in half the time of a traditional course. Students actually are doing the same amount of work across their program, and faculty are teaching the same content, unless they choose not to. But the difference is students and faculty are focusing on only one or two courses at a time for 7 weeks, rather than the traditional 4 or 5 courses in 15-week formats. Same outcome, same period of time. Students can complete full programs in the same amount of time, as I said, but research and experience in other institutions suggests that students are more likely to complete courses and programs offered in the 7-week format. As we're all aware, time is a great enemy for most of our students. Life often gets in the way of completion for our students, and with the shorter term format, students are more likely to complete a given course without life getting in the way. They also can see completion of each course more clearly at the end of the tunnel, which helps further incentivize their continued enrollment and retention in the next and subsequent courses. But this only works, again, if students can complete an entire program using this format. And if and when we get to the point of offering an entire program in this format, it also has to be surrounded by appropriate counseling and guidance and advisement. We don't want to combine short-term programs with traditional programs, and we don't want to encourage students to do both 15-week and shortened and more intensive 7-week at one time. It can actually have the unintended consequence of creating an excessive load for students rather than a more manageable one. I worry this may already happen since we offer like some online shorter course opportunities. So this is a college-wide discussion going forward. I would like to include sort of discussion about our progress in considering 7-week program pilots during each town hall meeting so that we can kind of keep this conversation going. I'd like to ask, and I hadn't done this in advance, so they may not be prepared to, but I wanted to ask if any of our academic deans would like to share anything that might be happening in their schools with regard to explanation and discussion around this topic since we last discussed it at the town hall. Do any deans or others wish to share any updates or progress? Yes, thank you, Aura. Let's hear it for Dr. Karakashian.
Thank you. Not necessary, but thank you. In the School of BCH, we have been offering 7-week short academic classes. I think the issue is more of the marketing and getting the students to know what it's all about. We have also been doing 5-week sessions in culinary for the last 30 years. So I think once the students are made aware of what it entails and how, yes, it's 15 weeks of content pushed into 7 weeks or 7.5 weeks, whatever it may be, that it is still doable and they can recover quicker in case they come through any kind of challenges throughout their semester. So BCH is behind this. It's not an issue.
Thank you, Aura. But again, I just want to emphasize, though, it's about the whole program being offered that way. But that's great. So, yeah, we are recognizing we actually have more examples than we even maybe realized, or I did, of basically full programs that already have all their courses offered in 7-week format. So we may be able to really get a head start on offering something in earnest with all the supports around it so that we can then evaluate the outcomes to inform whether this is something we want to do on a larger basis. Any other comments?
Yeah, maybe just an update. So the PA, Dr. Saran Abdullah, and I have met with Dr. DeBreeze and Dr. Jones, had a good number of discussions, issues that we've covered there. We also, leaving that meeting, I think we felt there's many issues that still, raise questions for us or concerns, whatever. We've submitted some of those questions to them and look to get that response back. I would say, I think some of the issues for us, well, let me back up. It's important, and we appreciate that the administration is open to hearing our concerns and addressing them as well. We want that to continue, and part of what we're doing here is sort of engaging academic affairs on that. From the union standpoint, we just want to make sure, we have no problem with having 7-week programs or courses. That's not an issue. I think, Chris, as you know, there were concerns, confusions about whether we're talking about a full conversion or not. And so the last conversation we had helped clarify some of that. Our concern on the faculty side is that the option of 15-week courses do not get phased out, that faculty will continue having the choice to do that, as well students. I understand I think Dr. Jones mentioned sequencing issues and things like that. But students may still at the same time need or want to take the choice of mixing. And so anyway, we have lots of different questions like that. I think as faculty, we have great concerns of our students as well. Maybe we see it from a slightly different standpoint. Our informations may be different and things like that. I think some of us raised concerns about how statistics are being used, or if they're representative of our schools, or, are these sort of, studies that are done that are specific to some areas and not universal, all those things. There was something else, and I damn near forgot it. Anyway.
Thank you.
Discussion continues.
So thank you. I appreciate those comments. So yeah, it's like the faculty mentors project that we came up with together that I think is really working well by all accounts that I hear. As an institution that's committed to removing barriers, whole life and other barriers that keep our students from finishing, we want to have as many arrows, arrows in our quiver, is that right, as possible. So we want to try different things and then evaluate and determine whether they have efficacy for scale up. And this is just another example of that. In the conversation so far, and I don't even know who said this, but someone said along the way, because Achieving the Dream did this full-day professional development. Well, hasn't HCCC already achieved the dream? Haven't we achieved the dream? And I want to give my perspective on that, because it kind of can be brought back to this. So we have a lot to be proud of. Over the last 7 years, I think our 3-year IPEDS 150% completion rate for associate degree seeking students has gone from 13% to 29%. And among the now 5,000 students that have been served in Hudson Scholars, it's actually 40%. Those are phenomenal increases. But let's keep in perspective, that means that at this moment, I'm doing my math, 79% of our students, 71% of our students aren't finishing their associate degree in 3 years, 71%. We made a lot of progress, but have we achieved the dream? No. So we want to, this is going to be continuous, these efforts to use data and best practice to get more students to completion, which is actually life-changing or not, is something as a college community I think we're committed to. I don't think the work will ever stop. I think it will be a constant journey to continuous improvement based on data and best practice. That's more than you need to hear from me. Go ahead, Michael.
No, sorry, thanks. You remind me what I wanted to just mention. So, so one of the issues I think that was clarified also is that the college is not going to kind of move forward with the cohort group, right? So that, what is important for us also is that we look at that assessment very carefully. What are the metrics that we're using? We had some discussion. I think we had a very rich discussion with John Ergola on some of this stuff. And I think before one talks about, data or assessing, we have to then first talk about what is the criteria we're using to assess. And I think I've expressed to you my concern always is what is the student's experience in learning? I mean, we don't want to just, students should absolutely have the choice. They want to do 7-week courses, this course, that course, that's all great. But from my standpoint, in terms of the lessons we learn that are not just, on the syllabus, is how do we relate to knowledge? How do we relate to the learning process? Is it something like a job that you have a foreman and you're just doing the work to get it done as fast as possible? I'm not saying we're promoting that, but I think we also want to have metrics or measurements about the quality of experience, not just if we're having greater graduation, not a greater retention. So the quality, and I think we are all absolutely committed to that, greater quality, but that also includes the process of education, not just graduation rates, not just retention rates.
Couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree with you. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Lots of activity happening around this. So I think I've also charged Dr. Jones to we want to bring in outside speakers and folks that have experience on a regular basis to have engagement around this. So more on this to come. I hope it's an ongoing conversation. I do want to, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about AI. So we'll get to that in just a minute. I wanted to mention that a few weeks ago, I attended a phenomenal meeting of community college and university executives, workforce leaders, and national thought leaders at Harvard Business School. The conference theme was leading with evidence, to Michael's point, leading with evidence, data and technology in action at community colleges. And Hudson County Community College is one of 4 colleges selected by Harvard to participate in a 2-year national study that you've heard us talk about before, conducted by the Harvard Project on Workforce and Education Design Lab. And joining me at this day-long meeting were Vice President for Strategic Initiatives, Continuing Ed and Workforce Development, Lori Margolin, Assistant Vice President Anita Bell, and HCCC student Anu Besht. And Lori and Anita offered a presentation about the college's use of data and technology in the growing workforce development space, and Anu participated on a panel of community college students. And I had the opportunity to sit on a panel moderated by WorkShift co-founder and journalist Paul Fain that discussed building agile workforce programs in a changing labor market. It was just a wonderful day in which this college, again, was showcased as an exemplar of excellence in workforce development and mission-centric outcomes. And I want to thank Lori, who's not feeling well today. There are a number of people who are under the weather. I'm hoping I haven't been in contact with any of them. But I thank Lori and her team and so many others for their exemplary work that's led to this, this distinction. So, as I mentioned in an email to the community and in last month's town hall meeting, Associate Vice President and CIO Patricia Clay and HCCC Center for Online Learning Executive Director Matthew LeBrake are co-leading college-wide initiatives to educate and engage the HCCC community related to the opportunities and challenges of generative AI. And Matt and Tricia have accepted my invitation to co-lead a new HCCC Artificial Intelligence Strategy and Governance Council. I want to thank them for their continuing strong leadership to address this disruptive technology as a potential force multiplier in our student success work and in college operations, while also, very importantly, addressing and mitigating significant ethical and equity concerns that are inherent in the technology. And so I've invited Tricia and Matt to report on this work, as well as celebrate 10 AI Spark grants that recently have been awarded to HCCC faculty. Matt and Tricia, thank you for your patience.
Good afternoon, colleagues. So you've heard Tricia and I over the last few years sharing how AI is transforming education and the workforce, and how Hudson County Community College has helped paving the way through ethical innovation and thoughtful experimentation. We also know that AI has a power, again, to be a true force multiplier across the college operations, strengthening equity, aligning programs with workforce needs, and supporting student success. So at HCCC, we're already seeing exciting pockets of innovation happening across our schools and departments as faculty and staff explore new tools to enhance teaching, learning, and operations, and to boost productivity and creativity in their daily work. But with all this one-off experimentation comes risk. National reports continue to emphasize the need for ethical AI governance as we confront questions related to accountability, bias, security, privacy, transparency, copyright, and of course, academic integrity. So in order for the college to fully realize and scale the power of AI, we need to institutionalize our efforts and build a coordinated strategy for adoption, governance, policy, and infrastructure. So understanding this, President Reaper has already built AI into our strategic plan with action steps focusing on identifying and supporting professional development, investing in infrastructure and technology, and developing guidelines, policies, and procedures for governance across the community. So next comes the step of operationalizing this vision, and thus the AI Strategy and Governance Council was born. So grounded in the strategic plan, the AISCG is charged with guiding the college's adoption of AI by shaping policy and governance, reviewing projects and new purchases, and recommending tools and practices that responsibly support teaching, learning, and operations. Tricia and I are really excited to lead this work for the college and really appreciate the trust you've all placed in us. And the one thing we're going to promise from the outset is transparency and inclusivity in all of this work. So we've put a lot of thought into this, and we have this amazing group of 20 faculty, staff, and students together to collaborate on this effort. But we're also committed to co-developing the strategy and governance with the HCC community, and you can expect everything we do to be brought forward in venues such as Town Hall and All College Council for community input. But a huge thank you to this group that's agreed to serve on the AISCG. We know there's a lot happening across Hudson right now, as we've heard in other meetings here and other presentations, and we really deeply appreciate your willingness to jump in and help support these efforts. I also want to emphasize the importance of the student voice here. While we do only have one student member serving on the committee, that student will actually lead a student advisory board to ensure we're regularly incorporating student feedback into and their perspectives. So I'm going to pass it off to Tricia to talk more about what we'll be working on.
And thank you all for your patience today. And I want to thank again the robust conversation around who would represent the college community in the AISCG. So the first part of our work and our charge includes drafting institution-wide guiding principles for responsible use of AI. From these principles naturally flow AI usage guidelines for our community. We will review our existing policies and procedures to ensure they align with these guiding principles. And during this entire process, as Matt already mentioned, we'll be engaging and coordinating with our current governance bodies, such as All College Council, to ensure that we refine the principles to align with our community's vision and needs. And again, we want to be very transparent with the work we're doing. I just want to review with you WCET has put together this framework, which is not necessarily our framework for Hudson County Community College, but this is a great visual for our work. The foundational work lies in the principles and guidelines required for our later, more refined strategic enablers and transformative opportunities that come later, and that relies on a strong foundation being established. So all of this above the green bar is really based on that ethical and responsible use of AI coming first. So regardless of the technological personnel or projects that come later, we need the underlying infrastructure that relies on our mission to be a driver. So as we begin, remember all of our work will be built on ethical, responsible use of our college resources. And here, this is also from WCET. It's an example of the 9 ethical principles they think are critical to responsible and ethical AI use. Our college community will need to come up with our own guiding principles and what aspects our community feels is most important to focus on for AI use that aligns with our mission and vision of the future. We imagine the future that will come later. So we need our students and ourselves to be a part of that imagination process. And you all will be critical to guiding our shared key ethical principles and we're going to be starting that work today. And right here, this is from, so to go back to what Nadia and Heather were talking about earlier, Middle States has their own guidelines when it comes to AI. So this is a current potential immediate need for our AI SCG's work. As you're all aware, we're in the middle of this process now. And as you can see here, our Middle States accreditor requires that college policies and procedures be in place before generative AI can be leveraged for assessment or part of our self-study. So you can see here, there's a significant overlap between our AI SCG charge and Middle States requirements. So Matt's going to go into a little bit more detail about what we're going to be working on.
All right, so another item we're going to be focusing on here is AI literacy and recommending learning opportunities for our community. And again, this is something we've been really excelling at here at Hudson. This is something we've been doing really well for the last few years, providing these opportunities for our faculty, our staff, our students to understand AI's capabilities, limitations, ethical considerations, and impact. We're also going to be assessing and recommending AI infrastructure and tools to support our institutional goals. And to ensure equitable access to our community. So, we have people in this community that are paying the $20 out of their pocket to access the premium AI tools, and many in our community that can't afford that price tag, and they're stuck using the free version of these tools, which may not be free in the near future. And this creates inequity across our community and actually puts us at risk of widening the digital divide that we've worked so hard to prevent. So one of our early goals is going to be to provide secure institutional access to a major LLM so our faculty, students, and staff can experiment in a controlled, secure environment. Additionally, whether we're considering an enterprise tool or the number of tools you all will be inevitably using in your day-to-day work, as we experiment, we need to be evaluating them carefully with clear criteria for security, privacy, accessibility, bias, and more. And furthermore, as we do test out these new tools, whether for enhancing student learning or for operational efficiency, we need to establish informed KPIs and assessment methods to evaluate the results and determine which of our pilots we want to scale. Longer term, we know we'll also need to invest in organizational structure and staffing. The ASIG will be a great starting point, but ultimately we will need dedicated personnel down the road, hired with those governing principles in mind. And lastly, and really interwoven through this charge, is the intent to form focused working groups to explore emerging priorities and opportunities and risks. We already have a couple of working groups in place at the college tackling various things, and those will be reorganized under the ASIGC umbrella. And depending on the feedback we receive from you all, we'll determine what those other priorities and working groups will be for the spring. For example, we absolutely recognize the need for a faculty-led group to explore academic integrity and the implications of academic integrity and AI, and to make recommendations on policy and procedures. So you can count on that being one of the first ones that we'll put together this spring. Okay, so before we wrap up here, what we want to do is engage you all. I think we need to get my version here, Willie, and collect some feedback that's going to help drive our early efforts. So everyone, why don't you just go ahead and take out your phones? We're going to, in a moment here, have an engagement activity up on the board where we really want to understand from you what you think should be a priority and what ethical use means to you. Willie, are we in the PowerPoint version here?
In a minute, you'll see a QR code, but you can also go to slido.com. You shouldn't have to install anything. It's a website version. Yeah, that's just us. You can ignore that for your purposes. I think the number is 3131. Is that right? Hold on. Give us a sec.
Really important. We're going to start tackling these ethical guidelines right away.
There you go. I was wrong. It's 311311.
Willie's also going to put
My memory isn't as good as it used to be. So it's what words or phrases come to mind when you think about the ethical use of AI at Hudson County Community College. And Willie's going to, for those who are online, there will shortly be a link in the chat for you to click. There we go. Citing of sources. Accessibility. Oh, you all have
Robots.
we've got a lot of, there we go, security. I was waiting for something to lead the pack. Fairness, accessibility, equity. Your people after my own heart, everybody's saying security, thank you. Equity, fairness, transparency. Blurred lines, that's a good one. Lack of equity. Necessary, but not there yet. I like that one. The future. Yeah, I think that if you see the highlighted in green here, that's a lot of what we're thinking about, as you've already heard both of us say. Obsolescence. That's an interesting one. Yeah, academic integrity and responsibility are both pretty big there, and accountability. Yeah, I think transparency is very important. There are several leading frameworks. Many call for transparency, and agency is a big one for students, that they have agency over when and how AI is used on their behalf. Not talking about them using it necessarily in that case. Right. Yeah, I feel very strongly that it is our job as educators, and I throw myself in that bucket, because to help students understand the technology, but the potential outcomes of the technology, to understand that there is bias, right? Because many people using chatbots at the moment take the authoritative tone to mean that the machine knows things. That is not necessarily the case. All right, great.
Great feedback. Thank you. You're going to expect all built into this draft that we'll be presenting.
All right, are we ready for the next one?
You saw this pretty robust charge where we could potentially. Well, what you think is the most.
Right, so this is a ranking question. Beyond developing ethical AI governance principles, what should the AISGC prioritize first? And then we have several for me to choose from.
Once you grab it on your phone or whatnot.
Yeah, this will just more or less be bubbling up how people are ranking things. Don't let that limit you. Okay, academic integrity, clear usage guidelines, ensuring equitable access to AI tools, and integrating AI literacy into curriculum and workforce preparation. See how this changes. All right. Now the guidelines are in the lead. And the AI SGC is meeting for the first time tomorrow. And this feedback is going to be brought to the group to look at as we begin our work. I think that's really important. All right, so now we've got usage guidelines in the lead with training falling second and academic integrity third, which is tied with the equitable access to AI tools. So this is all great information. Thank you all so much for your participation today. We know you've been here for quite some time. We thank you for hanging in. Right. What ongoing training and professional development will work best? I think making things fit into the available time you all have is important.
So this will stay live. Keep on plugging away if you haven't had a chance to participate yet, but we will move on here. And as we close, so we want to thank you all for this valuable feedback. This is going to be important for information for us to act on as we move forward. You can expect many, many more opportunities for engagement. But before we close, we do have one more announcement. So as we consider which projects to potentially scale on the academic side of the house, I can't think of any better way to do that than lighting a spark for some of our faculty innovators who are already moving and shaking here at Hudson. So back in October, we announced our AI Curricular Innovation Spark Grants available to all instructors. Some were taking their first steps in integrating AI into their curriculum in meaningful discipline-specific ways. Others have been active in our learning communities for years and are ready to scale their experimentation across courses. Both were equally welcomed in our call for proposals, and I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to the Spark Grants Evaluation Committee, who contributed their time in turning this idea into a reality. My co-chair, Dean Burrow-Yearwood, John Hernandez, Tricia Clay, Professors Rafik Siddiqui, Sovi Pujals, and Margaret Shadell, our ACE faculty fellow. So thank you all very much to those folks who were involved in the evaluation process. And now I'm excited to congratulate all of our winners who will be implementing their projects in the spring 2026 semester. Thank you.
Community College, innovation isn't just a goal, it's who we are. This year we launched our new AI Curricular Innovation Spark Grants, created to empower faculty to explore ethical, creative, and student-centered uses of generative AI in teaching and learning. These mini-grants support faculty as they experiment, design, and evaluate new ways to prepare our students for an AI-powered future. Today, we're excited to introduce the inaugural cohort of AI Spark Grant recipients. Each project reflects our commitment to academic excellence, innovation, and equity across disciplines. Congratulations to Carrie Rong Xiao and Victor Maruzzi, who are integrating AI to support financial statement preparation in computerized accounting. Congratulations to John Lin, who is introducing students to an AI-based Chief Executive Officer for Business Communications. Congratulations to Yavuz Gunnar, who is focusing on ethical AI-assisted Java programming in CSAC 117. Congratulations to Benedito Youssef, who is deploying custom GPTs to support student and foundational writing courses. Congratulations to Christopher Cody, who is developing an AI interview assignment with historic figures in U.S. Congratulations to Zakia Hamamou, who is exploring Copilot and emerging AI tools in CSC 100. Congratulations to Sonia Rodegir, who is creating an AI fair where students research, test, and evaluate AI tools relevant to their learning in intermediate ESL courses. Congratulations to Anna Litkina and Amini Alkayat, who are leading an ethical and responsible use of AI in ESL Pathways Level 2. Congratulations to Daniel Andieki, who is building a custom GPT-based learning assistant for mathematical modeling and pre-calculus. Congratulations to Carol Berzano, who is introducing ethical and responsible AI use in English Composition 2. Congratulations to our faculty changemakers for leading with creativity, curiosity, and purpose. Together, we're transforming education for tomorrow.
Well, isn't that that is just phenomenal? And actually, we must do a release on these projects. I think it's really a great point of pride. I want to thank Matt and Tricia for their leadership. There's more, but we're out of time, so I'm just going to say, well, let me just ask: are there any items that anyone else would like to talk about before we break? Sorry that we did run out of time, but we'll pick up some of the other pieces next time. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the day, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everybody.